Widows. A beautiful widow, a widow from a rich home, is a mystery and a prodigy. Free your mental image of her of the dull, dreary fetters of petty bourgeois decorum. In our cities, a widow is at the very least a body that wears black and glazes its white skin with oil and powder. Her children serve as pretexts for putting that body on show. And she finds someone, wedding ring or not. A tradesman's widow is of course always a man. She must think of nothing other than her children. And in the villages, you shall learn that now. After burying him, Haji Anna found herself facing life's 1001 exigencies all alone. Once she'd gone through this baptism of fire, she was invincible. Relying on a certain elasticity in the defense of the law, or more exactly on her good looks and fur coat, she put herself and her son out of harm's way. Then, heartened, she spread her skirts over house and estate. With a full bosom and a full purse, a good talker, well endowed in flesh in particular, and rich in everything, mettle and pluck above all, she had soon gone beyond the limits of mere necessity in order to develop her potential, cultivating her intelligence, ambition, and individuality. She gave a good mouthful to the parish councillors, who with every new election, egged on by this or that old mole, took her ledgers in hand and poked their noses into her domestic affairs, posing as the juicy orphans' protectors and complacently peddling their patriotism and love of justice. Always keeping within the bounds of decorum, her cheeks lightly shadowed by a black headscarf, she exuded the warmth of her passion, or perhaps contained thirst for sex. And her words carried weight, and her words were true and overpowering. Were they after her honor? That isn't clear, of course. Villages have their fools, who, for a mouthful of bread or a gourdful of wine, will do the most outrageous things. Her shrill, penetrating, unwavering voice sufficed to alert even the deaf an hour off to what was afoot. Above all, she had her arms, with which she had twice tied scoundrels' arms in knots before sending them sprawling. These incidents protected her from dirty looks and attempts on her virtue. Her orphan in tow, she knocked on government doors and defended, in court, promissory notes that their signatories had repudiated after suborning the witnesses or the clerk. She was so lovely in her hatred that you could call her transfigured. She looked like a bedraped statue, with everything always firmly in place, and no loose strand ever daring to peek out from under her headscarf. She was always spoiling for a fight, and knew how to start one, swearing, cursing, and unstintingly throwing everyone's sins in his teeth, without beating around the bush or toning her language down for shame. She spread men's abominations out beside the roads they traveled, and women's dirty deeds along their way home from church. The violence of her passion became her, so that she remained pretty and desirable even amid filth. She welcomed scandal, to which the big ulcers of our civilization cling, and which makes us do things 100 times viler than we are.